Hey everyone, Caro back with Littleroot Lessons, bringing you a deep dive featuring Dragapult. Dragapult is probably one of the more infamous Pokemon in the meta, being one of the fastest Pokemon in the game and was defining speed tiers all the way up until Series 6. So we're going to look at some kind of things that Dragapult gets to do still. It's not been as popular in the meta here as of late, but it still holds a place in the format and can still do some really cool things. Remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications for when new videos go live. We just recently hit 250 subscribers. Means I need to set a new goal for the channel. People have been saying 500. I'm just like, if we can get it by the end of the year, that'd be cool. But I'm probably going to aim for something a little bit more grounded. But yeah, let's get into some Dragapult. So Dragapult, like I mentioned, is one of the fastest Pokemon in the format for a time. It has the capabilities to kind of just be a bunch of different things at the same time. It gets access to a bunch of support moves, get access to really good coverage moves on both the physical and the special side, and it actually has decent bulk because its base stats are actually fairly high. So overall, it's just going to be a very versatile Pokemon. Every Dragapult technically could be different. I believe I was doing some math on it. There's a bunch of different combinations of Dragapults between the different stat spreads and moves and like what their roles are and the teams. It's just so diverse. But specifically, like looking at the meta, Dragapult has kind of been this offensive, fast threat for like the first 5 series. It wasn't really until Series 3 where I started to see support Dragapult alongside things like Colossal and some other Pokemon like that. Beat Up was a popular thing in Series 5, and it was a popular Beat Up user alongside the likes of Terrakion or Cobalion. But the majority of what you mostly saw Dragapult was, early on at least, was a Dynamax that had very good defensive typing, very good offensive typing, could hit almost everything, had access to max Airstream, access to Wormwind, which at the time was very, very powerful because it lowered attack because the format was very physical heavy. And also had access to Max Phantasm, which lowers defense on the opposing side, so its attacks just kept hitting harder every time. And as the formats have kind of developed, Dragapult has almost always had some place in the format, aside from Series 6 where it was obviously banned. It's always had a place in some sort of capacity. Most of what we see nowadays, though, are the support Dragapult sets, like the Light Screens, the Will-O-Wisp, the Dragapult that activates Colossal's weakness policy, and things like that. Speaking of Colossal and other partners, Dragapult, just because it's been played by so many teams and with so much stuff, it's hard to actually say, oh, this is a common partner, because it's been played with so many Pokemon. The current ones, though, tend to be the more standard Pokemon, things like Rillaboom, Incineroar, Tapu Fini, Porygon 2, Venusaur. It's been played with a bunch of other stuff. And the other popular partner is Colossal. Colossal specifically has Steam Engine, weakness policy things. We kind of talked about that when we looked at Colossal way back when. But Dragapult is kind of the main, I would say, enabler of the strategy, just because it's a very fast, immune to fake out and things like that. But outside of Colossal, other partners are things like the Cobalion, Terrakion, Justified users, things like that, because Dragapult, of course, gets access to Beat Up. Trying to think of other weird things Dragapult can do. I believe Dragapult gets Shadow Sneak, but you don't really care about that. What else does it do? Weird coverage moves are things like Scald, Steel Wing, because it's a pseudo-legendary, stuff like that. Dragapult can be played with anything, so let's just go with that. So looking at the metagame breakdown for Dragapult currently, as you can see, there's a lot of different moves because there's a lot of different Dragapults. The same thing kind of goes with items. There's so many things you can do with Dragapult. It's just so wide. The obvious primary thing Dragapult does, though, is just be a physical attacker that just blows things up. So that's why you see Phantom Force, Dragon Darts, and Fly so high on the list. Outside of that, it likes to Dynamax a lot, so you always can just have this weird support move in the last slot, like Will-O-Wisp, Dragon Dance, Protect, Ally Switch, stuff like that, because there will always be Max Guard when you Dynamax. The other moves you see here, Surf, that was played for Colossal. Beat Up, Justified. Light Screen's usually on Colossal. Will-O-Wisp was usually with Colossal. Things like that. Looking at the items, obviously, if your offensive Dragapult is popular, Life Orb is going to be probably the most popular item. Next to that would probably be Weakness Policy, but we see Weakness Policy coming in at 6% compared to the Safety Goggles at 29%. That should just tell you that Support Dragapult is a very powerful tool and can still do very powerful things. The rest of these items here are Cobra Berry to beat up, not just die to Urshifu. Focus Sash, same kind of thing there. Lumberry if you're playing offensive, and Light Clay if you're playing support, things of that nature. So let's look at some movesets for Dragapult here. Dragapult is known for its just insane speed. If I remember correctly, the number was 213, because that's the number you get to at 252 speed plus speed nature. So you always wanted to outspeed it, so you always got to 107 when it was popular, because in Tailwind you get to 214 and you outspeed Dragapult. Which kind of just leads you to these like offensive, hyper-offensive sets, like the bottom two we see here, with the Life Orb set and the Weakness Policy set. They're both very similar in just like they have certain moves and things like that. The Dragapult with Life Orb kind of likes Dragon Dance because you're wanting to Dynamax this thing anyway. If you can somehow like get a Dragon Dance off in front of an opponent, you don't have to Dynamax it anymore, and you can do a lot of damage that way. Whereas the Weakness Policy set, it is very much a Dynamax Pokemon. It really needs that Protect on there, so you don't really get the benefit of playing like Dragon Dance or Will-O-Wisp or things like that. However, the support Dragapult sets are very, very popular, and they do really cool things. Getting access to something like Breaking Swipe's really good. It essentially sets up a Reflect because it lowers everything by one that can be lowered, which is good in certain situations and bad in others. Outside of that, you get moves like Light Screen, Will-O-Wisp. You do get Reflect, Surf, Beat Up. The support moves that Dragapult can use and the supports that it has is just insane. So when you're building with Dragapult, because it's so versatile and flexible, it doesn't really have to be any specific team to kind of just like support it. It just kind of just fits in. It's a catch-all Pokemon. You can even blend the different sets. I used to run a super offensive set that had Surf just so I could Dynamax Dragapult, and if the Dynamax Dragapult wasn't good, I just clicked Surf and Colossal took over the game. Now granted, nowadays the damage output is so high and so necessary that you kind of can't get away with that because you definitely need the supports and things like that. But back then in Series 3 and 4, it was definitely easy to do. But the other thing I want to say is a caveat here is don't get too cute. Don't throw Phantom Force and Light Screen and Fly and this other move to support like Surf on your Dragapult. It's not going to really go over well when you're trying to play an offensive Dragapult and you have two support moves, a move that doesn't do anything, and one damaging move. You kind of don't want to Dynamax that target. So definitely try to stick within the realms of possibility. Don't try to get too cute, is what we're going to call it. So beating up Dragapult, now it's much easier to do than it was back in Series 5 or Series 3 or whatever. Because we have Regieleki. Regieleki naturally outspeeds Dragapult by a lot. And so the format has kind of adapted to that and become faster. So Dragapult's speed isn't what it used to be anymore. Most Pokemon are spec'd to outspeed base 100s at +1. So most of the time at +2, they're going to outspeed Dragapult fairly easily. Dragapult has a lot more threats also against it than it did in early generation and in earlier series. We have things like Metagross, which kind of just like wall it. Celesteela is a very good wall against it because Dragon doesn't care about Dragon moves, and Ghost doesn't really do anything to it. So teams are more equipped usually to deal with it. Tapu Fini is another big one that kind of just answers Dragapult really well. And against the support Dragapult, making it so the support doesn't get out of hand, kind of like how you respect a Grimmsnarl to have screens and fake tears or scary face or something like that. Respect the Dragapult to have Will-O-Wisp. Respect the Dragapult to set up those light screens. Things like that. If you can make it to where the support that the Dragapult is outputting doesn't matter as much, you're going to be off in a better spot. Or if you can just straight up OHKO the Dragapult before it ever becomes a problem, that's also a good start to it. So, what did we learn about Dragapult today? Even though it's super flexible and it has that insane coverage, it's not infallible. It's been a very big impact. It's had a very big impact on the meta, but it definitely has answers now in Series 9. With so many options, it can be both good and bad. Again, don't get too cute with your Dragapult sets. You still want to be fast, you still want to do damage if you can, things like that. You can run bulky Dragapult, but most of the time you want to be playing that support, or if you could probably put a weakness policy on it and trick somebody into hitting it, that might work. I know there was a sweet Misty Seed set from Zorder a while back on a team we talked about for the podcast. That set was really, really cool because it kind of combined both. So definitely look at what your team needs for and what answers Dragapult can give for you. And with that being said, I want to thank y'all for hanging out, listening to me ramble about Dragapult today. Again, make sure to check us out on Twitter. All of our Twitter handles are there on screen right now. Check out the Discord link in the description. Our Discord's great. We have a Rumble this afternoon, which signups will close probably about 3 hours after this video goes live. So definitely come hang out in the Discord and join the Rumble if you're interested in that. And remember to hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us. It helps us out. Lets us know that people are sticking around to the end. It's kind of nice to see that. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening. We're out in the world. We will see you all on Friday with Garchomp. Bye, guys.